It was in Iran. The city was Tehran. I remember spending a lot of time with family. I was a very energetic kid. I used to love swimming. Yeah, I remember like when it was a school trip, they wanted to see who's brave enough to jump into the 4-meter pool. Yeah, I was like, yeah, I'll do it. As a young kid, it was good fun. And then all of a sudden, we were moving to a different country. You sleep one night, wake up the next day, and it's all blurry. And when you get your vision back, you're in a different place. Felt there's a big, massive circle, and I'm in the middle, and the circle's nice and warm. Then all of a sudden, you got to leave that circle, and it's freezing and it's lonely. I was only about 5, 6 years old when we moved. The journey was very, very difficult. Yeah, at some points, I was probably close to dying. It was like a camp. There was loads of people in. It was absolutely freezing and everybody was worried and it was very scary, loads of strangers. And I remember just being protected in a way like, you know, something might happen to me. It was definitely foreign. It was definitely nowhere near home. You know, I didn't understand the language and it was very harsh conditions. I remember like weighing myself out of fear numerous times. One of the things I remember, we had to walk quite a lot. And I remember at one point where I couldn't walk much longer and my dad, he was struggling to carry me. And I remember being on top of his shoulder, him whispering to my mum, like saying that his leg is really bothering him. And I think that was a point that I was just like, nah. I said, yeah, you don't, just let me go and you don't go on. It's like a proper nightmare. The next part I remember was being very ill. You know, every time I coughed, there was a lot of people and they were like, no, like keep it quiet. You shouldn't be so loud. One of the memories I have of arriving is someone looked at me and they were like, he needs to go to the hospital. And being hungry, that was another thing. Like I was absolutely like proper starving. Even times that I fast and I'm starving, it doesn't come anywhere close as how hungry I was at that time. But that's just the beginning. You know, when my new life was started over here, I went to primary school. Yeah, it was just like pure racism towards me because I didn't speak the language, because my hair color was different. It was one memory that I had was like being in assembly, being told to stand up, the whole school laughing at me. You know, I felt so lonely and every time I went home, I always wanted to show that I'm a strong kid. My dad was a very emotionally firm person. For a long time, I used to cry myself to sleep. Then when we moved to Northwest London and I went to Salisbury Primary School, one of the things that I am forever thankful for is the Salisbury world, because there I was amongst people, they were kind and they were humble, being allowed to play and be loud and being able to like, just be happy in it. There was no one telling me off after school finishing and running there and knowing there was a drink waiting for me with biscuits. So when I went to Queen's Park Community School, I met the friends there that became like family. But then again, it still had its hardship because like we were quite poor. But there was 3 things that people, they would judge you. It was based on the trainers you're wearing, the haircut that you got and the bag that you have. One of the trainers that were big them days was Nike Air Maxes. It was year 7 and then I had to go get new trainers for school. But there was a JJB's near where we lived and straight away I just ran and got these Air Maxes. And then I see my dad go to a different section, walking away. I'm thinking, no, like, you've got to come here. Like, where you going? And he goes and picks up these bright silver football boots. And then he's holding those and I'm holding my Air Maxes. And I'm like, shaking my head thinking, no, like, not those. And as it's getting closer, I feel like these trainers are flying away from me. The whole vibe that era was, you know, when grime music was at its best, booming, and it was all about, you know, who's the best fighter. The worst day during that era is you go home with a bloody nose and a salt ego, and that's about it. You know, whereas nowadays, people dying is ridiculous. But at the time, it was never that. I was training a lot. I was trying to do my push-ups and stuff and watching Mike Tyson videos, looking up to figures like that. And Muhammad Ali, that's what the kids around me aspired to be like. One day it was suggested by my dad that I should take up judo. It was about 8, 9 years that I did it. And along the way, I discovered Thai boxing. But what happened that made a massive difference was the coach. His name was Vinny. You know, he had this presence, like a proper strong figure. I must have missed 1 week. And then he asked about me. And then that got me intrigued. And when I went back and he gave me these compliments and energy, And I stopped competing Thai boxing in judo. It just became part of my life and it became my identity. And I remember on my way home, jumping on a 316, I see all these people wearing a fancy dress and, drinking. And there I am, sweaty and beat up and knackered. I remember thinking they are either discovered something where they're on the right path, or I'm crazy, or I'm on the right path and they're crazy. I'm so thankful that I discovered the martial arts way, and it allowed me to carry myself and learn about self-respect and honour. And there's a difference between right and wrong. I worked in a people referral unit as well for the kids that are being excluded. I work with kids with special needs, and I'm a pastoral officer, so I deal with behaviour issues. I can relate to most of the stuff. If you've got rage inside of you, you don't know why, I could relate to it. It's quite rewarding doing what I do, yeah.